Okay, well, I'm gonna see if I can get this one out. I'm starting to have coughing fits, so let's see if we can get this video out quick. So I told you guys before about the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. I've since had another revelation that the red dragon spoken about in Revelations 12 is the same exact. It's the coalition of nations we see being formed in Israel right now. They just had this big conference about it. It fits. It matches. Well, I wanted to cover a bunch of the places where this is mentioned and read out the descriptions about this beast. It's mentioned a bunch of times. Daniel 7 and what, 4 times, 5 times in Revelation. So I wanted to read all the descriptions of this. And when we put them all together, it gives us a very, very elaborate picture of the situation here and what's being described. So in Daniel 7, starting in verse 2, it says, Daniel spoke, saying, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of heaven were stirring up the great sea. And 4 great beasts came up from the sea, each different from the other. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. And when I read that, that makes me think of England and America. I watched till its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand on 2 feet like a man. And a man's heart was given to it. And suddenly another beast, a second, like a bear. To me, this is Russia. It was raised up on one side and had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And they said thus to it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I looked, and there was another like a leopard. I haven't figured out what that one is yet. Which had on its back 4 wings of a bird. What I'm thinking is that's a country with 4 other countries that it's carrying. The beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So this may be the beginning of the coalition here, or maybe, I don't know. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong. It had huge iron teeth. It was devouring, breaking in pieces, and trampling the residue with its feet. It was different from all the other beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. To me, this description, it's like the different nations becoming into power over time, coming together to make a greater beast. I was considering the horns, and there was another horn, a little one, coming up among them, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked out by the roots. And there in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking pompous words. And then he goes into the vision of the Ancient of Days, actually the throne room, which we can find in Revelation 5. So we read this, and at first it doesn't make sense until we read the descriptions given. And in Revelation and in Daniel, these descriptions are given. So I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit within my body, and my visions of my head troubled me. I came near to one of those who stood by and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me and made known to me the interpretation of these things. Those great beasts which are 4 kings which arise out of the earth. So nations. I haven't figured out who the leopard is, but it's all nations. These are all representations of nations. But the saints of the Most High shall receive the kingdom and possess the kingdom forevermore, even forever and ever. Then I wish to know the truth about the 4th beast, which was different from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, with his teeth of iron and its nails of bronze, which devoured, broke in pieces, and trampled the residue with its feet, and the 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn which came up, before which 3 fell, namely, that horn which had eyes and a mouth which spoke pompous words, whose appearance was greater than his fellows. So this is clearly the Antichrist. I was watching, and the same horn was making war against the saints. Remember where we heard this at? We're going to hear it again. And prevailing against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and a judgment was made. And a judgment was made in favor of the saints of the Most High, and the time came for the saints to possess the kingdom. Then he said, the 4th beast shall be a 4th kingdom on earth, which shall be different from all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, trample it, and break it in pieces. The 10 horns are 10 kings, who shall arise from this kingdom. and another shall rise after them. He shall be different from the first ones, and shall subdue 3 kings. This is the Antichrist. He shall speak pompous words against the Most High, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, and shall intend to change times and law. So we already know he is going to change. The Sunday law is going to come out. He's going to change all kinds of stuff in the world. He's going to be a world leader. So we see things alluding to a great war. There's going to be a lot of fighting between nations. Then the saints shall be given into his hand for a time and times and half a time. That's 3.5 years. But the court shall be seated, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and destroy it forever. Where else did we see a mention of a court? A court with books opened? Up here. I watched then because of the sound of the pompous words which the horn was speaking. I watched till the beast was slain and its body destroyed and given burning flame. As for the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged. Here we go. Verse 10. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. 1,000 thousands ministered to him. 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated and the books were opened. So there's a judgment that's going to come. They're linked. These things are linked together. But the court shall be seated, and they shall take away his dominion. So we see the direct reference to consume and destroy it forever. Then the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people, the saints of the Most High. That's all of us. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve, and obey him. This is the end of the account. As for me, Daniel, my thoughts greatly troubled me, and my countenance changed, but I kept the matter to my heart. So Daniel had this horrendous revelation and didn't know what was going on. So we see more explanation of this. John had a much more detailed vision, which that one was pretty detailed. So we get into Revelation 5, you see where here's the court here, and all the same description, 10,000 times 10,000, thousands of thousands, Ancient of Days being seated with his throne. If you go look up, because in the Daniel account, it's talking about fire and the red and stuff like that. But you look in this account, I think it says there was a sardius stone, and that they're the same color. They're red. I can't remember where that part is. Okay, anyway, here's where that account is for that one. Let's see, 6. Oops, come on. I think it starts in chapter 12. Here we go. So, the Revelation 12 sign, but then we see in verse 3, and another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 diadems on his head. A diadem is like a small crown. So these are kings. These are 7 kings under the horns. His tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born. This is 70 nation coalition. And as soon as they come into power, one of their first acts is to implement Noahide laws. And Noahide laws are bad, or death sentence for Christians. On the outside, they don't look like that, but when you go look at where they came from and look at what the idol worship, well, we shouldn't be worshiping idols anyway. Okay, well, they consider Jesus an idol, and people who worship Jesus are to be put to death. This warrants more digging into that stuff. I've done a bunch of research on it. So down here, and war broke out in heaven after that stuff had happened. War broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought. And they did not prevail, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast out to the earth, and the angels were cast out with him. And then you see a little later on, they start talking about woe to the earth, for the devil has been cast down to you. So lots of description about this stuff. Now we go to Revelation chapter 13. Then I stood on the sand of the sea. Now this also is going to show you guys how you can't read Revelation in a straight line. You have to lay part of it out, then you lay part of it out, and they go side by side. Then I stood on the sand of the sea. Woo, woo, woo. Get out of there. Sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like the feet of a bear. Remember where we saw this at in Daniel? And his mouth was like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as if it had been mortally wounded. And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world marveled and followed the beast. So they worshipped the dragon who gave authority to the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him? When you read this not knowing what this means, it sounds like it's an actual beast. And a lot of people still are in that mindset. Oh yeah, a real beast is going to come up. No. This is a coalition of nations. And he was given a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and he was given authority to continue for 42 months. That's 3.5 years. Go back into Daniel 7 and look at the same. You see the same description. Exact same description. Then he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God and to blaspheme his name, his tabernacle, and those who dwell in heaven. So at some point, the raptured church, they're going to know it happened, but he's going to start talking trash about everybody, about God, about them, about everybody. So this tells me they're going to know, and they're going to remember that this happened, and they're going to talk a bunch of smack about him. This could be the Great Deception. Oh, they were taken by aliens because they were those Christians. You couldn't have them here because they were going to keep you from living in peace. It's all in the Bible. It was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. That's going to be the people who come to faith during the tribulation, which there's going to be a lot. More than is going to be taken in the rapture, I think, just from what I've read. So now we go into Revelation, I think it's 15. Nope. 16? Nope. There we go. So here's the account of the scarlet woman, or the woman wearing scarlet and the scarlet beast. Scarlet is red dragon. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters. Now we know what many waters is, but I'm going to read the description first. With whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. And what is fornication? Well, fornication is serving. Come on. No, go away. Satan don't want me to tell his secrets. Fornication is going after other gods, serving other gods. What Israel's going to end up doing is they're going to end up worshiping other gods. They're going to go after something else. False prophet, Antichrist. And all the countries, all the nations are going to go after that too. They're all going to be in league with that stuff. This is what this is talking about. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which is full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So we see, again, the same description. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. And on her forehead a name was written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. This is the nation of Israel. It's not all Israelis, it is the nation. I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints. They're going to go kill the Christians. That's what their plan is. The Orthodoxy and the Chabad and the Kabbalists. And with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. They're going to martyr people during that time. And when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement. So here's the meaning of the woman and the beast. But the angel said to me, Why did you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. Now remember what we read in Daniel? The beast that you saw was and is not. and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. So the beast used to exist. Well, what what nations used to exist that ruled the world? Rome. And now it's not, but it's going to be again. And will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. They marvel because they don't know the Bible. They don't understand what's going on. Everybody else that's read the book of Revelations understands what this is. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. These are going to be 7 key leaders. To me, what I've read so far, to me, this is going to be 7 courts of Sanhedrin that are going to govern the 10 horns. There are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. The beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition. But let me read this again. This is important. This gives us details. I've actually been trying to figure this out. Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. So Israel's going to be the top, and there's going to be these 7 courts, these 7 leadership courts underneath. There are also 7 kings. They will exist. They will either be over the court or exist below the court. 5 of them have fallen. 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. So we see that some of these kingdoms have fallen over time. And then they're going to come back up. But 1 still exists. Which one has existed continually all this time? Israel. Now, I'm not trying to cast shade on Israel. Please don't misunderstand. I know somebody's going to go, oh, but I thought he supported Israel. I support the Jewish people. I support Israel. I don't support what they do. That's God's chosen people. The beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition. So it's going to be a nation that was of the original 7, but is now going to be the next one, Israel. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. So the coalition is going to be built up, but almost sounds like they're going to have problems. Probably going to be some wars. So their council is going to get built. We're going to see them. These are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. If you listen to the countries that were on board with this 70-nation coalition, they were all like 100%, oh yeah, we're all for it. We have the same agenda. When I saw the interview and was watching them say it, the first thing I thought of was this right here. These will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And those who are with him are called chosen and faithful. Who's with him? Church. Then he said to me, the waters which you saw, where the harlot sits, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. That's all the other nations of the earth. So this thing is going to sit up here above all this. And the 10 horns which you saw in the beast, these will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. Now we read elsewhere where it talks about there's going to be destruction that's going to come upon that's going to come upon Israel. It's going to be another war. This time they're going to win. For God has put it into their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast, until the words of God are fulfilled. And the woman whom you saw is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth, Jerusalem. Now, you want to prove all that stuff? Go back and read through the book of Revelations. It talks about the destruction of Jerusalem coming. Jerusalem's going to be split into 4 pieces. And war, they're going to tear everything up. They're going to chase the remnant out after they kill the rest of them. The women are going to be ravished. The houses plundered. So we see now the description, how the pieces start to fit together, how this is actually describing Israel will be the lead nation. Look at the 70-nation coalition. They said it'll all come from Israel. Start there. Then you're going to have 7 courts. To me, it's Sanhedrin courts. Then you're going to have 7 kings that will be just below them or with them or below them. Then you're going to have 10 kings below that. These are going to be the 10 groups of nations under them. That gives you 70. So it's all there. Every bit of it is there. It's all the descriptions are there. We see the birth of this happening right now. Will we see it come to fruition? I don't know. I kind of think we're going to be out here before then. Because in order for this to be fulfilled fully, and the Chabad and the Orthodoxy and all them guys all admit this, they said Mashiach has to come first because he's going to push this the rest of the way, thereby fulfilling the covenant with many. When I saw the 70-nation coalition, and in the wording, I can't find it now, but in the wording, it talked about a covenant. I was like, there it is. And that's what that's going to be. They're going to start it. It's not going to be fully implemented. When he comes on the scene, he will fulfill it, covenant with many, and then you're going to see the beast rise up. It's all in the Bible, guys. Every bit of it's here. I think that was all of it. And there might have been some more in there. So you see how much this beast is talked about. If it's talked about in Daniel and what 4 or 5 times in Revelation, it's important. And this is all relating to the end times. And of course, there's much more study you can do on this. I'm just giving you guys some key points to start this thing off. But that's what that is. And we're seeing that. So now if we're seeing that, what does that tell us? It tells us how close we are. Because this isn't going to go on for 100 years, them trying to figure out how to do this. Now, the video I just did about the 2 Benjamins, we're there. So it's not going to go on 100 years with 2 Benjamins fighting for control. They're both going to die before that time. What does that tell us? It's not going to go on for 30 years. Something is going to happen between now and between now and October of 2020. Something is going to happen with this situation that's going on over here. It's not going to go on that much longer. I believe we'll be taken before then. Just what I'm reading, what I'm showing. Do your own research. So I wanted to share that with you guys. I wanted to share these other details. These are things that are revelations that are coming to me and jumping out at me. And I wanted to share that with you guys to help y'all understand what's going on. And just inspire you to do your own research. It's all there, right in front of us. And it's happening. And I haven't been able to prove it yet, but I still think the guy who's going to turn out to be the Antichrist was there at that sacrifice on Saturday on the Mount of Olives. I haven't proved it yet. Still working on it. Anyway, I love you guys. I bless you all in Jesus' name. I pray that this blesses y'all. I pray that you guys are blessed. And I pray that you're inspired to dig into this yourself so your spirit will speak to you. And you guys will receive revelations, and things will jump out at you. Be like, oh, that's what that is. You know? I mean, I've had a bunch of oh crap moments where it's like, wait a minute, that's over here. And then you go see it, and it's like, oh, well, there it is. There's the proof of what that is. And then we see it in the world, too, and it's like, wait a minute, hold on, let me look this up. Start getting on the internet and doing searches. So that's my prayer for you guys. Be blessed. Be strong. Be full of joy. I know I'm tired, too. It's hard to feel like you're in joy, but your spirit is joyful because we know the Lord's about to come. We know that our suffering is about to end, and we're going to be standing in His glory. It's going to be awesome. So keep reading, keep watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.